Ah, that's brilliant.
Of course, yes. Well,
we've only really it's the one that everyone will think of, and we've only slightly touched on.
In terms, I love the genius of that sequel because it happened by accident. They wanted Crispin Glover to come back, and one of the original ideas was to have it set in the '60s, and to have them be in Florida, George and Lorraine be like hippies at Woodstock. Then Crispin Glover wouldn't come back because his agent kind of fucked him over on it. His agent wanted loads more money and screwed him out of the part. So they were forced to redo this version without Crispin Glover, and just out of almost necessity said, well, let's reuse some footage from the first movie and make it look like he's back there again. And that's so smart. The way to do it is perfect. He's
but you have Marty looking at Marty.
Yeah, there's two of them in one place at one time.
It's brilliant. They're brilliant films. I love those films.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of flack against the third one, and that's really unfair. I think it's a really well constructed trilogy. I love it when a movie and a series just goes a little bit further, and that one obviously did. It went much further back into the past. It's great fun, and just some of the jokes in it about. First of all, there's a suggestion that Marty's maybe slightly inbred, because he looks reasonable enough. He looks a lot like his great grandfather, the Irish farmer, but he also looks a lot like his paternal great grandmother, who looks exactly like his mother. It's maybe, I think the McFlys and the whatever Lorraine's family is are maybe already related. But
his daughter in the future does look a lot like him as well.
It's strong DNA. Oh, it's so good. When I was a kid, I never realised I was Michael J. Fox playing the daughter.
Oh, really?
I had no idea. It's well done.
You didn't think she was good looking then, did you?
I thought she was gorgeous.
They're great. I just love that they take a premise and they follow it through. It's like the opposite of Timescape, where time travel works however they need it to work in the minute. In Back to the Future, they say, no, this is how time travel works now. How do we play with these rules and make something exciting and funky and cool out of it? Yeah. And it's all really consistent. And they use the same tropes. They have the photographs.
That's when a time travel film really works outside as well. When you have a set kind of rules for time travel.
Yeah, you probably do need those kind of rules, or else it gets very, very confusing.
Well, I mean, at the same time though, you need to ignore it to a certain extent. Like that great line in Loopers, we could sit here drawing diagrams for ages, but let's not give ourselves headaches. Because really, I mean, when you look at the idea of time travel, I think traveling into the future almost seems possible. I mean, just in the way we're talking about Planet of the Apes, that's sure. Many scientists have talked about that.
Well, it's relativity.
Yeah,
they've done it with the atomic clocks. It works.
If you go that fast, you're going to get time will.
Slow
relativity, and
the best.
Whereas traveling back in time, just that's what
Superman.
And thinking about that stuff, thinking about someone killing himself. That's well, let's turn it.
He's Superman.
He can do it. He can drink the ocean.
He could if he wanted to.
He really could.
I love that man.
He's a good guy.
But the best use I ever saw of that relativistic time travel, I think, was in Ender's Game. Did you ever read that one?
They're making a movie.
Yeah, they're making a film. There's a trailer.
I saw the trailer last night from the director of Wolverine. So that should be good.
Wolverine or The Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Is there a difference?
Gavin Hood.
Yeah, the new one looks actually quite good.
Oh yeah, it's based on Frank Miller and Claremont's thing. Yeah, I wonder how good it'll be.
We'll see.
Can't be any worse than the last one.
No, it really can't. But Ender's Game is set. There's been a skirmish. Mankind has started sort of exploring the galaxy. They met an alien spaceship. It was a big skirmish. Human beings wiped out. The aliens come at them then, and mankind's been having their ass kicked, and this one guy, Mazer Rackham, manages to save the world. Figures out a tactic that destroys the buggers, they're called. What they did was immediately upon the end of the war, stick him in an almost light speed ship, and shoot him away in a big arc. So that the hundreds of years later, when they come to fight the Formics again, he just steps off. He's only been gone for a couple of hours.
Right.
But it's been centuries, and they're ready to fight the Formics again. I thought it was quite a cool use.
What about going from comic book to film now? Same as well, the new X-Men film. That's not out yet. They're filming
Days of Future Past.
It's a good comic.
Good comic, yeah. Bishop and
I'm worried about the film getting a wee bit too overcrowded.
Well, yeah,
it's like everyone's in it. Yeah.
Well, they're not Nightcrawler.
But I do love that about Bryan Singer, how he's like the anti-reboot guy. You know, he's just like, no, I'm not rebooting, I'm making a sequel. I'm using the fucking John Williams music, fuck you.
I like that film too.
I like
It's
it.
not a bad film.
I'm bringing back all that stuff, and then when they do reboot X-Men pretty much with First Class, and then he does the sequel to that, he goes, okay, first things first, let's unreboot it. I'm bringing back my cast. Fuck you. I think we should finish up, guys, with what we were talking about.
Favorite time?
Our favorite time machine. Do you want to go first, Shane? What's your favorite time machine?
I'm going to skip ahead and say TARDIS as well. One, because it's an old phone box. It looks cool. Can fit in anywhere because it's meant to change style, isn't it? You know, it's meant to.
Its chameleon circuit is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's basically bigger on the inside. And it has a swimming pool and library, as we've seen in the last episode, where it's absolutely massive. And it has its own memory system where it can constantly keep changing too as well.
But in terms of time travel abilities?
Time travel, well, it does time travel and it can move as well.
In time and
time
space.
space.
So in terms of practicality, it's definitely probably number one.
Yeah.
But in terms of just form and aesthetics?
Form and aesthetics, it's brilliant, I think.
It's a big, lovely blue box.
It's a big, lovely blue box.
You can sneer at it, but one of my happiest bits in the happiest bits of all the sort of rebooted Doctor Who was you finally got to see the TARDIS in a car chase, and it was cool. I was just, oh my god, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sure even when they were switching from 10 to 11, you see it flying all over the place and going absolutely mental, crashing and everything like that.
Would that be your favourite?
Yeah, no question. It's like a little caged universe. It's its own little universe in all itself.
Well, I just love the charm of the brass Victorian machine from the Time Machine. Also, there was a nice version of it in a film by Nicholas Meyer called Time After Time, where H.G. Wells follows Jack the Ripper forward in time to 1970 San Francisco. It's an interesting movie. It's kind of a weird balance because it feels like a sort of weird comedy movie, and then suddenly it turns into a slasher movie with very shocking violence. It's directed by Nicholas Meyer, and who would later go on to make Star Trek movies, including writing Star Trek 4, which is also a time travel movie set in San Francisco.
It sounds like somebody in a boardroom somewhere said, H.G. Wells versus Jack the Ripper. Good, but it sounds expensive. We could set it in San Francisco in 1977. Perfect.
It's an interesting movie. Mary Steenburgen's in it. A lot of Star Trek connections. And there's a interesting redesign of the time machine in it. But I wanted to mention that because I do love the brass and everything Victorian. But for me, you can't beat the DeLorean.
Well, the DeLorean is lovely.
The DeLorean's just my favourite. And I mean, it can't necessarily travel through time and space. Like the TARDIS can just go from one side of the planet or one side of the galaxy to another. It can only be where it is, but it can still drive at 90 miles an hour.
Well, that's the same with the time machine. It can't even move.
Well, what I always liked about that is it's just like a little boyhood dream of like having something in your room that can take you to another place.
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
They thought it was only a miniature one, and there was a big massive one that they had in the sitting room.
Not a fan of that show.
No, that's funny enough. That episode.
Yeah, it's funny how
they're fighting over
sad
ownership.
it makes me.
Yeah, so that's a DeLorean for me. And I'm very proud they picked the TARDIS, which is a good British time machine. I picked the DeLorean, which was made in Ireland.
Time and relative dimensions in space. I know that. I know what it stands for.
DeLorean stands for Don't Enter Long Ordeals, Randy. This has been Castle Celluloid, folks. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out our blog where you can get a link to it here. And make sure to subscribe and like our channel. I'm Kieran McNulty.
I'm Niall McCann.
Shane Muldoon.
Shut up.
You're going to end with that all the time.
Orange,